Today, the final countdown. Millions prepare to bid farewell to 2024 and welcome in the new year. South Korea launches an emergency investigation into all air operations after the deadliest plane disaster on its soil. Hundreds return home after Ukraine and Russia complete one of the largest prisoner exchanges since the invasion. And a memorial to be held in Hobart, honouring the two sailors who died in this year's Sydney to Hobart yacht race. Hello, I'm Dan Borscher. This is ABC News Mornings coming to you from the lands of the Gadigal people. Millions of Australians are preparing for a late night as they finalise events large and small across the nation to ring in the new year. Authorities are calling for people to plan ahead with roads closed and crowded trains, trams and buses expected. Revellers are being reminded to stay hydrated, with some parts of the country expecting warm temperatures right through to midnight. Australia, of course, is among the first places to welcome 2025, and the eyes of the world will be on Sydney Harbour, where more than 1 million people are expected to gather. Reporter Miles Holbrook-Walk joins us from there. Now, Miles, you've got a long wait and a great vantage point there. What's in store today?
I'm not moving a muscle. That's what's in store for me, Dan. I mean, look at it. It's just wonderful, isn't it? So, of course, there is going to be plenty of entertainment in and around. The gates have just opened here at Mrs Macquarie's chair and in the surrounding parklands. And let me tell you, it is truly just packed to the rafters already. I mean, people are just running right over to get their seats and to settle in here. I mean, what's really interesting, as you point out, there's more than 1 million people coming. This is such an important night for tourism in the country and indeed in Sydney, especially with its major fireworks display. And people, I think I've heard all sorts of languages already being spoken, and people in Italian saying buon anno, feliz campañaros, kung hai fatsoi. Like, it's all coming in here, and I think Sydney really puts itself on for a brilliant show. So what is in store for all the people who are like me parking up here right now? Well, they're going to be treated to an early fireworks show at 9 p.m, and that will involve a series of interspersed First Nations storytelling and dances as well, that's been coordinated and as well curated by Nookie, the artist and rapper and part of 3%, who won ARIAs this year for their hip-hop releases. It's a really big and festive day as well, though, when we get to midnight. That is the main game. It's the biggest fireworks display ever in the history of the Sydney fireworks, an incredibly exciting time. If you're wondering just how many fireworks they're setting off, it's about 9 tonnes worth. There's 264 vantage points on the Harbour Bridge where fireworks are going to go whiz, bang, pop in all sorts of colours, red, green, blue, yellow, you name it, they've got it, and people are going to be treated to it. If you're not coming into the Sydney Harbour area, and that might be understated why, due to a range of road closures and just how many people are coming in here, there are other spots you can enjoy fireworks earlier in the evening, including Parramatta at 9 p.m, Liverpool and southwest Sydney at 9 p.m, as well as north of the Harbour Bridge towards places like Manly, Bayview and Frenchs Forest, and in the eastern suburbs at Coogee. So plenty of fun to be had right around the city, and the action really just kicking off in earnest. But it is so fun to share in with all the excitement with the revellers who have come in already, Dan.
Indeed. Miles Holbrook-Walk reporting from Sydney. Meanwhile, Sion Valance is at Flagstaff Gardens at Melbourne for us this morning, which is also expected to be standing room only at midnight. It's a bit different there this morning. Sion, talk us through what's going to be happening.
Yeah, there's no need for anyone to come out early at this point, because this is one of 4 celebration zones around the city, family-friendly, alcohol-free, and this is where the early 9:30 fireworks will be going off later tonight. There are also at midnight fireworks and a laser show planned. In fact, the Lord Mayor said there's going to be more lasers than a Star Wars movie. And I did hear Miles say there's around 9 tonnes of fireworks planned for Sydney. Well, there's 14 tonnes here, not to brag. brag, but we're expecting 6 kilometres of skyscrapers to light up on 27 rooftops. So it's going to be truly spectacular, and thousands of people are expected to come here to Melbourne. Around the country, there is a lot happening. Over in the west in Perth, it's going to be their biggest ever fireworks for New Year's Eve. Now, 100,000 people are expected on Elizabeth Quay and the sky and down there. They're also going to have some rooftops light up in Northbridge. In Adelaide, they're expecting 25,000 people to come out to their fireworks. And there's also going to be a bunch of activities on for the kids, as well as food and drinks, and a circus tent, which should be pretty cool. There is fireworks in Darwin as well, but as well as that, there's a light show that involves flames, water and sound. So that sounds incredibly intriguing, and there's a few performances of that throughout the night, whereas in Queensland, there'll be displays up and down the coast, Sunshine, Gold Coast and in Brisbane, where they're saying the best place to be is the South Bank Parklands. In Hobart, the Regatta Parklands are the best place to view the show. Now, there is a free shuttle bus there and free parking, whereas in Canberra, Lake Burley Griffin will be the centre of the entertainment. And for all of the states, there'll be an earlier kids show and then the midnight sky show as well. And there's free public transport in quite a lot of those public cities, but it is advised that you check what time that starts and to really plan ahead, because it is expected to be very busy. There'll be a lot of roads closed, and so there is just a lot happening around the country. I think for myself, Dan, I'm going to go to the earlier kids sky show. It sounds like I have already been partying. I promise I haven't, but I'll save some of that for tonight.
Well, and if you can't get out, maybe the best place is staying at home watching the ABC. Sian Valance there reporting from Melbourne. Overseas now, and South Korean authorities have announced an investigation into the country's entire air operations system following the worst ever commercial plane accident on its soil. 179 people were killed when the Jeju Airlines plane exploded while making an emergency landing. Local media is reporting that another plane of the same model and from the same airline returned to a Seoul airport shortly after taking off, after reporting a landing gear issue on Monday. The airline's entire fleet is now undergoing a comprehensive inspection. East Asia correspondent Kathleen Calderwood has more.
As South Korea continues a week-long period of mourning, there are still so many unanswered questions surrounding this tragic and horrific accident which occurred at Muan Airport. In its wake, the South Korean Transport Ministry has announced plans to inspect all 101 Boeing 737-800 planes operated by domestic airlines, focusing on maintenance records. Now, all but 2 of the 181 people on board the Jeju Air flight were killed when it landed on its belly on Sunday, skidding down the runway and bursting into flames as it hit a concrete barrier at the end of the runway. 2 Thai nationals were killed, while everyone else on board were Korean.
I can only accept it, make peace with it. When I think about it, I remind myself that it was an accident. It's something that can happen to anyone, so I've come to terms with it, because no matter what I do, my daughter won't come back. I just hope the government can provide some help. I want to bring my daughter's body back home for a proper religious ceremony.
Now, there's a huge effort ongoing at the airport to recover evidence, with around 1,500 people scouring the surrounding area. Officials say that air traffic control had alerted the pilots to bird activity around the airport, but many experts are saying that a bird strike would not be able to fully explain why it appears that the landing gear on this plane had not been deployed. Now, there are also questions around why the plane, which had issued a mayday call, had to land so urgently, why it landed so far down the runway, and how the existence of a concrete barrier at the end of the runway impacted the ultimate outcome. All this, of course, will be considered by the investigators. Authorities in South Korea say that they will be supported by US officials in the investigations. And while 2 black boxes from the plane have been retrieved, one is reportedly damaged, and it could take weeks to recover its data.